Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
Viago, Deacon, and Vladislav are vampires who are finding that modern life has them struggling with the mundane, like paying rent, keeping up with the chore wheel, trying to get into nightclubs, and overcoming flatmate conflicts. That's right, we watched What We Do in the Shadows, so unless you're in the procession of shame, join us on this journey.
Yes, you forgot about Peter.
Yes.
It doesn't mention Peter in the IMDb
mention Peter?
one.
Come on.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't mention Peter, but Peter was awesome.
I'm reading the IMDb one, so...
Peter's the best. Peter's half responsible for half their clan.
Yeah.
Well, okay, why was Peter's teeth like macadamia nuts that were outside of his mouth?
And I'm like, is Peter just Nosferatu? Is that...
It's like he's the original.
I think that's what he was supposed to be.
He's
They
the
were all
OG
supposed to be a
vampire.
playoff.
He was like number 3 in the originals.
Oh, I love Peter. I love the opening of this film.
He's Damaskinos' brother.
Yeah, he's Damaskinos'
Bastard. Nutsack.
I love the opening of this film with Viago trying to get out of his coffin. Like, he's trying to be so cool and do the whole, like, slow rise from the grave thing.
All I kept thinking was Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah. Like,
Yes.
I thought he was going to fall, or I'm like, nope, it's just my inner Mel Brooks, I guess.
I'm like, that's just, Viago is all of us if we turned into a vampire. Like, that's just what happens. These people
Just
are,
that
is what
awkwardness
is.
of it.
Just the awkwardness of, like, you're trying to get out of bed and nothing works the way you want it
I have
to.
to wake my flatmates.
He does so great at
We
this.
have a meeting in 15 minutes. Perhaps you'd like to come? I brought you this chicken.
I love when he's like, I could bring you a broom and you could sweep up these spinal columns that are
The
around.
spinal column, yuck.
Oh,
I
let's
love
just.
when he brought that chicken. Like, what's the deal with the chicken? I was like, what's he going to do with the chicken? I was fearful for the chicken, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, he fed him to Peter.
Peter's got to eat, man.
I love the whole opening and like when he goes and when they go to the actual flatmate meeting. And the whole thing is just about Deacon having not done the fucking dishes in 5 years.
This isn't the
How the
meeting
hell
about
do you
how
go
cool
that
you
long?
are.
Vampires
How
don't do
long?
dishes.
I don't get how long you go 5 years without doing the dishes.
I love how Vladislav is like, he's so embarrassed when I bring people over. They see all these dishes.
kill.
The whole exchange between the people are just, it's pure comedic gold because it's such a mundane thing, but in this supernatural realm, which really is the whole film and the whole reason why What We Do in the Shadows works so well.
It really does bring in that like real life shit that you would still have to deal with, like, because everyone always thinks, you know, like you're a vampire, like you to live forever, like you do all these cool things, but it's like no one thinks about the normal shit. Like we still have to, you know, pretend to be humans. We still have to have, you know, a house and still have to do shit like that.
I will do my dishes.
And it's, and it's so like it takes the glamour away from it and brings it into real life. And I think that's the funniest thing about it.
The thing that I found funny is when Viago woke up and he's peeking through the curtains.
Oh, yeah. He's like, this
"Am I-
is
am
the
I-"
scariest part of my
He's like-
day.
Yeah, that was the scariest part of his day. Was that he woke up at 6 o'clock every day, and he had to peek through the curtains to see if it was light or if it was day out.
Mm-hmm. What did they do in the summer? Because like here in Arizona, it doesn't get dark till like 8 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah, but they've lived there long enough to know when to,
I don't know when the New Zealand sun
when they're
sets or anything.
sealing. They can just watch the
But
news.
just all of the mundane things that just crack me up that they would do. Something like that you wouldn't think of. It's like, okay, how do you know for sure if there's light out or not? And then you have to have people do stuff for you when they had, Deacon's familiar,
Yeah, Jackie.
who was hilarious, by the way.
I know.
I think Jackie was my favorite character.
Out of the normal ones, she was pretty funny because that's all she wanted to do was be a vampire, And Deacon just kept putting her off, and putting her off.
Well, they were kind of dicks in that regard because
Yeah,
even they were all kind of dicks
Yeah.
about it because even Viago was like he hung up on Philip, my servant, like
Yeah.
and he was like, I've done nothing with my life, master. It's been 90 years. Like, okay, thank you, Philip.
Okay,
it was nice
bye-bye,
talking.
He's like, I've waited for you my entire life. I was like, what do you want me to do? You're going to turn me.
I love when he was like, Philip, you put the wrong postage on my coffin. Like, man, let it go. It's been a while.
Well, hey, it cost him. It cost him his chance at true love.
I suppose.
I love how that happened because he said it took him 18 months to get to where he was supposed to. And by the time he got there, everything had already, he was like, oh, too late.
Yep.
Because, again, just mundane awkwardness of everything. That's the thing that I loved about the movie, is it puts it in a real-life thing, and it just gives you all this comedic gold.
Oh, yeah, like when they go out on the town and they run into the other vampires, and I think they called it North Wellington. Is that what it was?
It was like Wellington Center. Or
Wellington
something,
Center or something, and they were talking to all the vampires, and they run into those two little girls, and like, oh yeah, we're meeting a pedophile tonight.
All right, cool, good girls.
Like they just put it in such a real world context that makes it hilarious because nobody cares if pedophiles die.
And I love that he's like, let's go to Big Kumra, and then they get there. I'm like, this is a typical like crappy like if you couldn't go anywhere else, like that's the bar.
That's the bar.
Because even like there's two guys sitting on the side when they show that first shot where they're like kind of dancing or whatever, and there's two guys at a table to the left, and I'm like these guys aren't vampires. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, who made these guys vampires? Because it was like just a regular like fat dude sitting there. Like,
The other thing that I found funny were the fact that they still follow a lot of the vampire lore. Like they couldn't see themselves in the mirrors, so they couldn't tell what they look like, which I found hilarious.
Oh yeah, the whole fashion show scene is just wonderful because it combines all three of those actors like physical comedy and that ability to make things so awkward by just like a little look at the camera. Like it makes it so much more funny with just these little smirks or these little side glances. It's just so simple, but it works so well.
It's the clothes and like the stance, like the poses they did, and like just like their posture and just how like especially like, Viago's performance with Taika Waititi, like he completely like just he sells it with his body language.
It was hilarious because not only did they do that, but they also did the one thing where they can't go into the place without being invited, which when they were trying to go to the bars made it that much funnier because they're like, you want to let us in? He's like, no, we don't.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you do. Like, no,
invite us in. Please invite us in. They just want to be invited into a club.
So the other thing that they follow as far as the vampire lore is that they're allergic to silver, and Tiago wears the little locket around his neck with the girl he's in love with's picture, and he says, and I put my picture next to it, which I thought was funny just because he did the whole little, she doesn't know who I am, but I did this. And then he wears it around his neck, and you can tell that it's burning him. And he's like, that's about as long as I can wear it for. And then he just takes it off.
I love that whole bit because he's like, I came to New Zealand for love. Like, it's just his whole little backstory is just so sweet and innocent. This little vampire.
And the thing that was funny about that, he's like, I could easily have killed her new husband and then turned her, but I would have felt bad.
Yeah, because he's like, I saw her happy, and it just made me so happy. And when he calls us familiar later, he's like, love is patient.
A little too patient. Now he's stuck with a 90-year-old forever.
Mm-hmm. I love that at the end when they get together, and he's like, whatever, you could call me a cradle robber. I don't care.
Because that's the thing that's funny is he stays the same age. She's 90, so obviously it looks the other way around, which, again, the little comedic timing, all the writing in this was just funny because he was saying everything that you were thinking, but he flipped it around by saying that, oh, you can call me a great old robber, or you can say that there's a huge age difference. I don't care.
It's almost like it makes it like those words are ridiculous, right? When people say it, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't care if people call me a cradle robber is most of the time said by people who are gross.
You say cradle robber?
Cradle robber.
Like you're trying to say grave robber and cradle robber
It
at
might
the
have
same
happened.
time.
It could have happened.
The gravel robber.
Cradle robber. Anyway, I love that it takes like the mundane stuff and the ridiculousness of each of those things and spins it on its head and puts it in a supernatural, ridiculous way, which makes it funny.
Yes, it does. Oh, then the other thing, do we want to talk about we'll get to the vampire thing though. But the other thing that I remember that had me cracking up a lot is when they did their feeding, where Tiago invited that one girl over.
Oh yeah, and he put
she's
the
telling-
towels down.
He's putting the towels down. He's putting down the newspaper. She's telling him about her life, and he's like, "Oh, so what do you want to do with your life?" He's like, "Oh, I wish I could just travel more, see the country more, see the world more, and all this." And he just kind of looks at her and they're like, "Damn it."
Yeah,
And
he
he's like, "I still
had
gotta
he
eat."
had that half second like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
But I've already put everything down. It's just,
And I
He's like,
love
"I'm
how
kidding you."
after the fact would he just completely he cuts the main artery and just it goes fucking everywhere. And he's like, so it was a bit of a mess,
No,
but
see,
I
like-
think she had a good time.
that's okay. That's what I love about these vampires. Like, okay, so Peter is just like old as shit, right?
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like,
I
I
think
just
at
want
the
to eat.
beginning, Viago
he
says
just
he's
wants
8,000
he's-
years
he's
old.
He's over 8,000 years old, guys. I don't think he's
We're
coming
not
to the
waiting
flat
for Peter.
meeting. No, so it's like, yeah, like he's over 8,000 years old, so he's just old and wants to sleep and eat. Like he doesn't care anymore. He's checked out in life, right? But the other three are, relatively young guys, quote unquote,
Yeah.
vampires or whatever. But they're all kind of like inept. Like it makes you like they all have like their shortcuts. Like he's been a vampire for almost 400 years and he's still hitting the main artery on victims.
Oh, I know.
Like,
That
and it's like.
The thing that cracked me up about that though is, like I said, he did that. He made a mess. And then he fucking does it again later on in the movie.
Yeah, when they're trying to get Nick. Yeah, when they're trying to get.
Isn't he going chit 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 when he's running through the
Yeah.
thing? I think that's what he's saying. I love Viago. He is so ridiculous in this movie because he is so. And they are. Vladislav is the oldest. I wrote down their ages. Is what it said. It said Vladislava was 862, Viago was 379, and Deacon was 183.
Yeah, so it.
Deacon was just selling his wares.
I figured I'd sell my wares.
And I said, hey, this is a creepy castle.
They could probably use wares.
I love
But
Deacon.
you're right. But Paul's right. They've been vampires for this long, but they're still inept. It's like you've been doing this for so long, and you're still fucking up something simple as eating someone.
Yes,
And you
when they were doing their little band together, I was like, this is just what happens. Like, this is us in quarantine now. We have
Yeah.
all this time and
Yeah,
we're
like
learning new things and we're still sucking at it.
It's been like no, but it's like it's been 3 or 4 weeks for us. Like this has been hundreds of years for them. So it's
Yeah.
like they should be better at these things.
They should. It just cracked me up. I'm like, it's all of us trying to learn new skills right now. Quarantine is us. We're all of the vampires playing in that band right there.
We're making that gif.
Yes.
And then one of the funnier things in the movie too was the addition of Nick, because he just fucks everything up.
I love Nick. When they first meet him, it's because Jackie brings him thinking he's a virgin.
Yeah.
I was like
No, he
12.
thought it was,
Okay, I have a love-hate thing with Nick cuz I loved to shit on Nick, but I hated
this
his
is my
character.
thing. This is
right?
my
Okay.
thing with Nick. I don't know if Nick is a great actor doing a great impression of like that dumb kind of guy, or that just is Nick.
See, maybe that's what it is for me.
know.
Like,
I don't
maybe
know.
maybe that's what it is for me because I'm like, I can't put my finger on it. Like, I hate him, but then I love. Like,
If he is doing that,
I love where the
that
comedy
is-
goes with him.
If he is doing that as a bit, fucking well done, because he's
And
got
we
that
need to-
timing down.
We need to see some other things that he's been in. It's probably some other like
Yeah.
Australian, New
when
Zealand
he's
things.
running away from them and he goes, they made my cock turn into a snake. That's not cool.
He's like, nope, nope.
I'm
the
not.
tricks that they played on him too with the spaghetti is like, now you're eating worms. You're like, oh, and he just takes off running.
Biscotti.
Nick,
Eat
do you like
some
biscotti?
biscotti.
Eat some biscotti.
Thought they offered me biscotti.
Yeah.
Oh, I love when Nick has become a part of the group and everything, and he starts bringing over his friend, and then later on, it's like he's bitching to Peter about all the guys liking Stu better. He's like, I don't know, I just
Stu
brought
was
him over.
freaking awesome.
See, I took
love Stu.
that
Everybody needs a Stu
more.
in their life.
I took that more as he was like, so please don't eat stew.
No,
like,
he
everybody
was.
likes-
But it kind of came off as like, I don't know, they might like him more than me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Reckon they like him more than me already.
And I think it's funny too because Peter's face in that, it's like moving along. Like he does little nods, but he's like, "Come on, get to the point." He's like, "Okay, I get it. Goodbye." Like,
I just want to go back to
I
sleep.
just want to go back to sleep.
I imagine Peter being like a Frank Sinatra kind of vampire. Like,
I love when he gets Nick. When they're chasing Nick and then Nick gets out the door, Peter just comes and takes him down. And they're like, oh, Peter got him. That poor guy.
Blood's like, poor guy.
And then I think Deacon goes, who let Peter out?
They called me Vladislav the Poker.
The poker. I love later on in the callback when Stu's teaching him about Facebook. Like, and he's like, yes.
Or we can poke them? Yes.
We can poke her?
Stu with his red cheeks.
When he started showing them like the technology, like you can go on the websites and you can do all this, that was just cracking me up because it's like...
I lost a scarf in 1912. Could we find it?
Yeah, yes. They're barely finding out about this. Like, you've had help.
See, like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is how inept they are, that they've completely not known about technology. Like the whole, there's a crucifix behind you text. It's like,
I know. It's like giving your parents or grandparents a cell phone for the first time, or showing them Google. Like, that's what it is.
That spinach green screen flip phone that he had.
Yes, that's what it is. You gotta, like, there's a crucifix behind you. Like,
where?
That's a dad joke. The vampire just turned to another vampire.
And I love Viago's face in the corner. I just kind of look when he does like the camera looks when he's just waiting for something to happen. It's so like childish and like giddy at the same time.
He's got the greatest expressions because he can make it so sweet and innocent, but at the same time he's got those fucking fangs.
Let's talk about the addition of Nick and how initially it looked like he was going to be a great addition because he was teaching him all these things. He was finally be able to get him into bars. It was like, oh, he's going to be a really good addition. Then all of a sudden, he turns kind of into a douchebag.
But that's another reason why I don't know if I like Nick or not, because I can't tell if like that's just his attitude. Like, it's so reality TV in that moment.
Okay. I'm like, I thought it was funny when they played the prank on him. And then when he started, after they showed him, like they turned after Deacon's erotic dance gets interrupted.
Yes, his erotic dance
by Nick.
I was doing an erotic dance for my friends, and you ruined it.
They were loving it.
You ruined it.
It's like I saw it at the end. It was brilliant.
Go through the door.
I love how he struggles to get in the window. Like, he can't get his head in first, and then he's going to turn around and get his feet in.
It's only been 2 months, all right? He's still trying to figure some shit out.
I love how he's still kind of trying to figure out how to be a vampire.
Okay, so like, he comes around and I'm like, he's kind of a douche already. Like that whole thing, I'm like, all right, I get it. But then it was almost like he's trying too hard. So I think, I don't know, I'm just going to say he's a brilliant actor. I don't know.
Yeah, let's go with that.
That's my hope because
he plays everything up so well.
He made that character like, so like, God, I hate him so much. He does it so well. Like you just love to hate him.
He does when they do, after they go around and the whole fight starts out because Nick can't keep his mouth shut about being a vampire. And
they're like, stop telling people.
Okay, I know why I hate him. Here's why I hate Nick, right? Because he's like, the guy from Twilight. I'm like, no, you're comparing yourself to Twilight. Like, I'm the main guy, Twilight.
That's me.
Me, I'm the guy. Like,
it's me. It's like, I'm the guy from Twilight. It's like the whole movie's about me.
Oh.
But again, the thing that cracked me up is how when they were doing their little interviews, like, the one thing we don't say is we don't tell people we're vampires. And what do? He's going around doing like a montage of him telling everybody he's vampires. Like, Nick, how many people have you told?
I know, and I love when Deacon just gets fucking fed up, and he's like, he just starts fighting with Nick, and then they turn into a bat, and fucking Vlad just goes, bat fight! I love that. Like, he's so excited to see a bat fight. Like, they only happen so rarely, apparently. Hey, I'm not going to lie. I would yell out bat fight if I saw two bats fighting. I'm not going to lie.
If I saw two regular bats fight, I think it'd be cool enough.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
I'm going to Google
that. And that's,
again,
one of the few vampire things that people forget about is that they turn into bats.
And then after the bat fight, Nick is licking his wounds and his jacket got ripped because Deacon ripped it. Very upset.
Well, Well, doesn't Deacon get pissed off at him because he keeps saying that he's wearing the same type of jacket that he is?
Oh yeah, Deacon
Like, he's
just
wearing
is not into
And he totally
Nick at
was.
all.
All
He
right.
was.
He totally was.
He was
Like,
trying to
that's-
take over Deacon's like whole younger
He sat, well, he
bad
sat
boy.
in his chair. I would have killed him then. Like,
That's my chair.
You're sitting in my chair. Like, get the fuck out of here.
But yeah, and then we immediately find out why you don't tell people you're a vampire. Because then a vampire hunter
Hey,
comes.
it was fair. He said he was a vampire.
He did.
hunter.
He let it be known.
Yeah.
He did.
Because that's what he
You're a
gets.
vampire
He goes
hunter.
around telling everybody that he's a vampire, and I was like, really? He's like, I'm a vampire hunter.
Oh, you're a
He's like,
vampire,
oh,
right?
like, yeah.
And then he tells him to
Vampire
Skype.
hunter.
He's like, whatever, man. What does he
Skype
say?
you.
He's like, you're a fucking idiot. I'll Skype you. I'm like, what?
Fucking asshole. Let's go, you.
And then later he's like, oh man, I didn't tell him where the house was. I just gave him my email.
Yeah.
What,
But it was
Nick? Why are you passing out your
See,
email?
like, this
to
is my
people?
point. Like, these are the type of people that these inept vampires would make into other vampires, and these are the guys that hang out at the big Kumara on fucking Friday, Saturday nights.
But after, when they fight with Nick, that whole fight after Peter goes up in flames, the deadpan from the police officers, that whole scene is just perfect. It is.
Yeah.
There is nothing that goes wrong in that scene when the cops walk in and Nick's on the wall and Deacon's
They're
like
all-
flying and Vlad's holding
They all look
Deacon's
like-
feet.
Wait. Go back just a little bit because I want to talk about how when it happens, because all of a sudden they hear, what is it, their smoke alarm is going off,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out where that's coming from, and they realize, oh shit, Peter is on fire, and they have no idea why, and they're trying to put him out with water,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, we're too late, and they go down there, he's like, he's charged, and they start looking around, they're like, wait a minute. Like, they do their little investigation, like, somebody broke through the window,
Oh, yeah.
came down here.
So it appears that
then
someone broke in the window. That whole scene.
Crucifix, cover the crucifix. And then
they
he
realize, like,
just
oh,
goes right back into character. And he's like, and then what happened was, well, it basically fell
Yes.
over.
I love when Peter goes up in flames. Vlad gets so mad and he's like, our friend has just died in a fatal sunlight accident. Turn that thing off. I'm like, yeah, that's so funny. And
But, like,
fucking
you know-
Viago's just wailing on the floor. Every
again,
time.
the other thing, but again, you have that. It's like you have this happen. It's probably the saddest part of the movie, but it's one of the more comical things of the movie because that happens. That's when Deacon says enough is enough, and he wants to go kill him. And the next thing you know, that's when the cops come. They're like, "Oh shit!"
I love the
Because
cops.
obviously, you're going to have neighbors, and
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff's going to set things off because you're hearing screaming. You have no idea why. It looks like somebody broke into your house. You smell fire, so everything adds up. They're like, oh shit, why wouldn't they call the cops?
I love the cops. Again, it's that timing. They have
Both-
some of the best timing in the
Both
movie.
scenes with the cops are great. Like those two characters, they just did it so well. Like
It's just the deadpan. It
is,
is
like,
complete
yeah.
deadpan.
just
Nothing.
that would have a bit of dialogue. That's
nothing.
right.
I
Next
love
flat
when
thing.
they see the dead vampire hunter. He's like, his soul will burn in hell. It's like, I don't know where his soul is, but what I'm saying is, where's his blanket?
Was she a weird '80s comedian?
I don't know. I
What do you-
can't. I thought it wouldn't be appropriate
But
to
I'm saying,
do.
where's his blanket?
I thought it wouldn't be appropriate to do a New Zealand accent because I'm not from New Zealand.
So you gave her a Rodney
So I
Dangerfield
went
kinda?
with my 80s white lady. I guess I wish you guys could see my impression right now.
You're moving like Paula Poundstone right now. And if anyone gets that reference, then I'm sorry.
But
You're old as
the thing
me.
that was funny is when the cops show up, they're like, Deacon was just like, let's just kill him. Oh, no, it was Vlad. It was like, let's just kill him. I was like, no. Let's see where this goes, and then we'll figure it out.
Oh, about the
let's-
safety.
let's
What
see
other
what-
safety tips
Let's
they
see what
have?
other safety tips they have first.
I love
Yeah.
when Viago's like, I hope those guys don't kill them because then it will bring Christians, and that's not what we need in this house right now.
We'll bring
He's like,
more
it'll bring
police.
more cops. It'll bring more
Possibly
cops, and then we'll have to kill them. Yeah.
I wrote.
I love that Deacon knits. Like throughout the whole thing, like he just knits.
He's just knitting.
Like he's like, I need a hobby. I'm gonna knit. And he's like, I'm knitting a scarf for Stu.
I don't know why, his knitting reminded me of, remember Demolition Man when
Yes,
Sylvester Stallone?
that's exactly what I think of too. It's like I knit you the
Yeah,
sweater.
it was like he got it embedded into his head, and all he's doing is just knitting.
Yo,
That's what it
Sandy, I
reminded me
knit
of.
you the sweater. I don't remember her name in the movie. I just
Like, I'm a
Sandy.
seamstress. It's like, I can't remember all this, but all of a sudden I can tell you how to do this, and I can tell you how to do that.
You guys say Demolition Man, and I just think Senso rings, and I know that's from Coneheads, but they have something similar like that in Demolition Man.
Theirs was like, yeah, there was.
It was like virtual reality sex Senso rings or something like that.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest shit.
It was our brains.
And the 3 seashells,
Our brains,
which
are
we're all going to
doing-
have to learn to use soon.
Well,
apparently.
there's a toilet paper
Eventually.
shortage, so.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Taco Bell is the only one left standing.
It's
And
getting
now,
close.
and now we get to the part where we mentioned earlier the shame.
The procession of shame.
Yes. Which was funny because here's the thing because
Don't mention Game of
I know
Thrones.
it reminded me of Game of
Don't
Thrones.
mention. Ah!
Which you guys are.
This is not a Game of Thrones podcast. So, all right, bye,
Paul's-
Sal. We'll talk to you next week.
Paul's
It-
rebelling against
it-
you, Saul.
It reminded me of it because they're like shame, and all they're doing is going around in circles and just saying shame, shame, shame. But the thing that cracked me up, what led up to it, is they're like, oh no, we can't do that. That's too extreme. It's like, do we need to do that? It's like, no, we need to do that.
Yeah, and then they expel him from the house indefinitely.
But when they did the whole thing where they brought up the charges on him, where they did his trial, where they're saying that you like what was
You
the
were
first
trying
thing
to
they let off
steal.
with?
You were trying to steal Deacon's style, and he doesn't appreciate that. He wants you
then
to
they
get
have
your
a
own
second-
style.
He wants you to get your own style. That's right.
And then they said that you keep telling people that you're a vampire, and then 3, like your actions led to the death of Peter. I'm like, well, we should have let that off with number 1, but that was too much. It's like, yeah, maybe we should have let that off.
Don't they start with like the most gruesome charges are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then then that one's third.
Yeah. Well, again, their ineptitude is just what makes them so damn funny.
And they're vain. When
Yes.
when Vladislav is not
The Beast.
yes, when he is not the guest of honor at the unholy the unholy
The
ball?
Unholy Masquerade.
The unholy masquerade. And he's like,
I-
no, it's fine. No, it's fine. He walks into the other room.
What I thought was gonna happen when they did their whole ball and who the guest of honor was gonna be, I'm like, if it ends up being Nick, I am gonna freaking lose it.
Well,
Because by that point, because what was it?
he's been a vampire for
Just
3 months.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been this long, and they're like, they kicked him out, and that just would have made me lose it and just laugh my ass off if it was him. Because they hate him, and all of a sudden he does all this stuff, and he becomes that. That right there would have made it so much more funny for me.
I love when they're getting ready for the unholy masquerade and you see Vlad for the first time and he's like, leave me alone to do my dark bidding on the internet.
Okay, wait. Okay.
I'm like, that's going to be me coming out of this fucking quarantine. That's exactly what I'm going to look like. I'm going to be that color. I'm going to be just a useless blob in front of the internet.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit to when Stu was teaching them all the technology and bringing everything. I thought it was funny that he basically introduced them to porn.
Oh, yeah, he
Because
did.
he was like, yeah, we can see virgins, and they're like, oh,
I don't think she's a virgin if she's doing
not
that.
a virgin if she can do that. And then when Viago printed out the picture and put it in his coffin, I called it the the coffin quaff.
Oh, no, not the quaff.
The coffin quaff jerk off. How about that? Is that better?
I'll
Thank
give
you.
you that. That's
Thank
good.
you. Try the veal.
Well, the other thing, too, is leading them going up to the ball, they ran into werewolves. Or was that beforehand?
Oh, I love the werewolf. That's when they're out on the town. Yeah, that's before the
Yeah,
ball.
they ran it into. Yeah, it was when they were going back from the bar.
Yeah,
And
the
they ran
first
the
time. Yeah. No, was this after Boogie Wonderland?
Yes, it might have been
Yes.
after Boogie Wonderland or before Boogie Wonderland.
No, I think it
don't
was
even
on the
know.
way home from Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah, it might
they
have
had
been.
Stu
into
with
werewolves.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they ran
Oh,
into
yeah,
werewolves.
that's
What
true.
are we? We're werewolves, not
Werewolves,
swearwolves.
not swearwolves. Fish are not food.
I'm gonna lose it. I swear. You guys-
Count to 10, be human again.
I loved that. Count to 10, be
Like, it's not
human
like,
again.
it's not a full moon. Like, it's not a full
Thanks,
moon.
guys. We didn't want to see that.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Ashamed. Actually, we don't sniff each other. We don't sniff our own crotches. We sniff each other's.
It's a form of greeting.
Form of greeting. Why are you saying that? There's a camera right there, man.
The werewolves were awesome.
They
And then
are
when you see
awesome.
them-
And it
and
took,
then when
and you
see
know
them
what?
again,
And no one but Stu could unite these clans. Their mutual love of like, Stu's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
and then when you see them again, when they're chaining themselves up to the trees, they're like, "You're not wearing the right pants." It's like you're going to lose your pants, and you're going to not have any good ones.
I
All
love.
right, everyone take your
I
pants
love
off.
when they do the reenactment of Stu waking
That
up as
is
a
my
werewolf.
favorite part. It's like, then they came and offered me pants.
And then it was naked guys with pants.
No, and did you notice like all the other guys were like reenactment actors?
Yeah.
But the main guy,
guy
was
was the
he was
guy
the
who-
actual guy.
The stupid attention to detail is what makes what we
Yes.
do in the shadows so amazing. From the comedy to the costumes to the ridiculous lore they follow, it's every little detail that is perfected for any type of genre, for the horror fans, for the comedy fans, for everything.
I love when they were in the ball and they show the reflection of the mirror, and you can only see Stu and a couple other things in the.
Was it? It was like one
Stu and
zombie,
the zombie or
it was like the
something,
one
yeah.
zombie guy.
I love the zombie. He's like, excuse me, are you predeceased? Like, he's just smelling stew.
That's your personal question.
He's like, "Are you a witch?" He's like, "He's a male witch. He's a male witch." He's like, "You gotta get
I
him
know,
out of here."
like, why can't you just say he's your familiar or something? Like, he's just here to do something and then he's leaving. Like,
Oh, I love that Nick turned Deacon's familiar, Jackie. He's just like, see? He's like, look, I'm here. He's like, this is for undead only. She's like, yeah, I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I love when Deacon shows up
Not
at her
cool.
house and she's like, don't look at the man. Don't look at the man.
Don't look at the man. All right. I'm just saying, if I had a penis, I'd be a vampire already.
It's like a big
Oh,
circle
no,
where they're just
no.
jerking each other off.
Just circle dick
The other
biting
thing that was
club.
funny too is the hypnosis, where Vladimir was he could hypnotize thousands of people, and because of the beast, he was barely able to hypnotize anybody.
The bees.
I cannot
The
help.
cat. The cat. The cat. The cat.
Oh, the cat. Yes, he loses his ability
He
to.
used to be able to transform into different animals.
Now he can't
but
get the
he just
faces
can't get
right.
The faces right.
The fucking weird Cheshire cat is so jarring, hilarious, and creepy all at the same time. You're like, what the fuck is that? Because for some reason, Jermaine Clement's face just fits so perfectly.
Yeah, and it was
fucking
it was
cat.
a great cut, like just that weird square, like
Yes.
cut, like fused
It
into the
was
cat.
so perfectly done. And the effects that they use, which isn't a lot, I don't think, in this film. Like, there's some green screen work where Deacon comes out of the backpack, which is a lot of
That-
practical
yeah.
work, and you can see.
I loved
it.
that.
Yeah, it's such a smart way to do it because it looks more real that way.
Yeah, this movie is awesome. This movie was so freaking hilarious. I can't say enough good things about this movie, just with how awkwardly hilarious they are.
It's one of those weird finds where it's both smart and somehow stupid all at the same time.
It is, like,
it has really smart comedy, but also really dumb comedy. That
It has so many levels and like layers of comedy that it's like, even if you don't get some of the jokes, or if you don't like, get some of the, or even care for some of like, the smarter kind of comedy jokes, like you can still find just the straight stupid ones, like just like the little things. Like one of my favorite parts was like when they finally got ready to go out the first night, where they ended up at the big Kumara, and they were all finally got dressed, and they're like, we're going out vampire style, like all that. And then immediately the next cut is them sitting on the bus going to fucking like, Wellington Center or wherever they're going. And I'm like, oh my, and it was just this long, like just silent shot of just them like on the bus.
public
And
transit.
I'm like this is exactly, it's like, yes, like, they're vampires, it's cool. Then it immediately like, but this is reality.
This is reality.
They got to ride the bus. None of them know how to drive, probably.
No.
Because why would you ever, if you were a vampire and just turn into a bat?
I honestly would just fly. I wouldn't ride a bus. I would fly everywhere.
There's just so many little things about this movie that just make it so awesome. And honestly, to me, this is a classic now.
Oh yeah.
I have to watch it again, just because I think it's one of those things where the more times you watch it, the more you're going to pick up on things you missed.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen this movie thousands of times. Probably not thousands. Probably a good hundreds
Give or
of times.
take. Give or take 1,000.
But this, like, and it's one of those things that when I heard about the show coming out, we can talk about the show. We don't do shows usually, so we can chat about the show if we want, I feel. When the show came out, it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know how you could match the movie.
How does it translate? Like,
but now that I've seen it, and we finished the whole first season, and no spoilers, but it's such a companion to it.
Yeah,
It's not a sequel. It's not really it's in the same universe, and it happens a lot in real time, but it's like all the same jokes are there, but in such a different way. Like they're not reusing anything almost.
It's different. It's other semi-inept vampires that live in New York instead.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of following, and then they introduce some other characters that makes it even better. So
and the way the characters are set up, it could be a TV show. It could be richer. It could have more backstory. It could have more future story versus where they just went with the movie. So, like I said, that's what makes it such a great companion to it. And the fact that you see our same vampires again in the series.
Semi-spoiler.
Okay, fine. Semi-spoiler.
Semi-spoiler. They make a cameo in the season finale. But trust me, there's a lot more cameos in there if you haven't seen it. So it's worth watching.
What I love about the show is that if you can't get enough of the movie, you can continue with it with the show, because I think it picks off right where it left off. If you like that style of comedy that the movie gave, and you want more of it, the show is just hand in hand with what the movie was.
Yeah, and it's a fresh perspective of it. Like
it's different new characters in the same universe dealing with their own
ineptitudes.
In their own ineptitudes around vampires in New York, though, instead of a small New Zealand town. So it's kind of it definitely relates.
Another semi-spoiler: the emotional vampire. I love the emotional vampire. I'm like, that's just a real human. We all know an emotional vampire who's just a real human.
Where are you guys gonna go? Total domination.
I can't say good enough. I can't say good enough.
I can't skedaddle enough.
My brain is
I can't say good enough things. Where
I can't say
enough good things.
Yes,
we did it together. It took two of us, folks.
I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's brilliant comedy in whatever aspect you want it. If you like reality TV, you'll find humor in it. If you like straight comedies, you'll find reality TV. I can see it's going away. Brain is leaving. Okay, I love this movie. Fuck you, everybody. Good night.
All right, Saul, go right ahead.
This movie is hilarious. You need to see it. The ineptitude that these vampires possess is what makes this movie so damn funny. If you have not seen it, do yourself a favor, watch this movie immediately, because you will love it. And like Angie, I can't say enough good things about this movie. Go watch it if you haven't already.
This movie is a great comedy. It takes reality and mixes it with something that's semi-supernatural, and you have vampires. And it shows you, like, the downside. Because even, as much as you hate Nick, like, he makes a really good point where he's like, I'm over it. Like, this sucks. After he has that whole night of him puking after they're like, I wouldn't eat that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like, fuck this. I can't even eat chips. It was my favorite food.
Chips.
Can't even eat one chip.
One chip. And it was kind of funny because it was like, why? And like none of them said anything. It was kind of one of those like, all right, it's a rite of passage, man.
Yeah,
we all had to do it at least once. Some of us had to figure it out on ourselves. At least we told you, like, don't eat that. All right.
We tried.
So yeah, it was almost to me like that one night where, where you take, your buddy out for their 21st birthday and they just get super sloshed and end up puking everywhere. And you're kind of responsible.
I'm going to do a concrete mixer. You're like, okay, all right. Go ahead.
What we used to do with some of our other friends, we used to get them like, all right, what's gonna be the tipping point shot? Like,
you would make it?
Yes.
No, you're a dick.
Me and the other friends would make.
It's not story time, Paul.
All right. So it's a rite of passage for him to have to go through that, right? And it's he brings it to that point where it's like, it kind of sucks being a vampire. Like, these are the things they don't fucking tell you, like in reality kind of thing. So we've said, about the layers of comedy. It's great for everyone. If you like mockumentaries, if you've ever loved Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap,
Yeah.
Best in Show.
Yes, it's got
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
that kind of smartness to it, but also like I said, like a whole different level of just stupid comedy hidden within it. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely goes back and forth, and it just turns on its head so quickly. That's so brilliant.
Yes.
It brings things up and immediately brings them down, and it's like you're up and down for this like comedic roller coaster, I feel like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
In almost a deadpan fashion.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. It's definitely one that I'm glad we got to do for April Fool's month.
So we're going to change things up a bit for this month. We're going to be releasing a new episode every Wednesday and every Friday. Every Wednesday will be a bonus episode, and that'll be our quarantine bonus episode that we just want to kick around and do for you guys since we're all at home and we need some extra content. And we'll be back at you next week on Wednesday with a movie that we haven't decided on yet. So if you've got a good quarantine movie, good end of the world movie that we haven't done that you want us to do, go ahead and send that through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can email us at podcast@scarynerd.com. You can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/scarynerd. All right, and we will be also doing an extra episode for 420, which will be Cabin in the Woods, starring Chris Hemsworth and other people's names that I don't remember. That one guy
that
from
was in
Grey's Anatomy.
Sigourney Weaver.
And that
Sigourney
other chick,
Weaver and
well, isn't his name like Franz or something? The stoner guy.
yeah,
It's like something weird like that. Who was also in You Might Be the Killer, which is a great
also
movie.
a smart comedy.
So maybe we should do that
we
movie
should.
as well.
Anyway,
Let's talk
again,
about it.
if you have any suggestions,
You
send
folks
them
don't need to
us.
be here for this meeting.
And again, always, you can give us a review. Make sure to subscribe and follow us so you don't miss any new episodes or any fun things that we randomly put out because we're either anxious or nervous or bored.
So we'll see what we're watching.
Anyway, that's it for everything this week. We will see you guys next week. And anything else?
No.
Be safe out there.
Be safe. Wear your masks. Wash your hands.
Take a
Yes.
shower once in a while.
Take a
too.
shower.
All the above.
Read a book. Don't feel like you have to learn how to play in a band. It's not going to be good, and you're not going to do it after the quarantine anyway. So sit there and watch a bunch of horror movies.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of,
Yes.
like how they have like vacation versions of yourself. Like, we're going to come back with the quarantine versions of ourselves.
the quarantine versions of
It's
ourselves.
like like chicks go to the islands and get the fucking braids in their hair and all that shit.
Like Monica from Friends.
Well, yeah, I guess. No, you say that, and I just pictured that big fro thing she had when it got all
After
humid.
the fact.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're out of here.
All
We'll
right,
see
you
you
just
next
don't need to
week.
be here for this.
Bye.
Sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.
What did I
Cabin in the
say?
So
Woods.
cabin fever.
It's a cabin
I'm
fever.
not- I don't even like Cabin Fever. Where would that come
You
from?
I know.
Cabin
but-
fever.
I know. That's why I'm like, why would you even bring that up?
And it was so perfect. Damn it.
No, we will
Get it
not
together,
be watching
Angie,
Cabin
get it
Fever.
together.
Angie, you can watch Cabin Fever. We'll
No,
watch Cabin
thank
in the
you.
Woods.
I don't need to see the guy from 2001 Maniacs again. All right.
Harper Johnson, or what was his name? Harper Alexander.
Harper. I was going to say Harper Lee.
Harper Alexander.
And
You
that's not
kept
even
doing
it,
that
damn
the
it.
whole podcast, too.
You're going to have Sean
It's
Boyne's
Terry and
World in
Todd
it.
all over again.
You'll never get a second chance. Plan all your moves in advance. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead, stay dead and out of this world.